Today we're going to make a creamy tomato soup with some lentils and some other fun ingredients. The idea with this soup was to kind of get that nice classic cream of tomato soup feeling, but also have a little more protein and substance to the dish. So in this pot on medium heat, I already have one 28-ounce can of tomatoes and one 14-ounce can of tomatoes that I've also rinsed out with about half a can of water each. I'm now going to add a little bit of dry basil and some soy sauce as a seasoning. You can add other herbs or fresh herbs if you have to have them available. I find that with soups, actually dry herbs are not a bad choice because they kind of get rehydrated with the liquid in the soup. Probably a couple teaspoons of soy sauce. Okay, now I'm going to add the lentils. This is 16 ounces of what are called black beluga lentils. And what's fun with these, as you can see, is the color. They look really beautiful when they're cooked. What I've done is I've just rinsed them in a little bit of water, and now I'm going to add them. Now the next ingredient is what makes this soup kind of fun. I know that as a vegetarian, sometimes you get bored because the protein sources are more limited than if you ate meat. So you don't always want to be eating tofu, for example, because it gets boring. So I encourage you to go check out your local Chinese grocery store. While I was there poking around one day, I found these things which are called bean curd knots. Not a particularly flattering name, but they're actually really fun. And you can see, I'll take one out of the package here so you can see it. This is basically tofu skin that's been tied into a knot. And when you have these in a soup, they have a really nice consistency to them. So I'm going to add 2 bags of this. So in this pot now we have the 2 cans of tomatoes, we have the lentils, we have a little bit of soy sauce and dried basil, and we have the bean curd knots that we added. We're going to let this cook for at least half an hour and maybe a little more. Soups really just tend to taste better when you cook them longer anyway, so it doesn't matter that you keep an exact track of time. And when we come back, we'll be adding the soy milk to turn it into a cream soup. So the soup has been cooking for about half an hour now, and I tasted it and it needs a little more salt. So I'm going to add just a touch more soy sauce, and I've turned the temperature down a little bit so it's more kind of like medium-low now. So for the soy milk, you want to make sure that you get unsweetened soy milk because otherwise your soup is going to be too sweet. And also make sure it's not vanilla flavored or anything like that. So just plain unsweetened soy milk. I'm going to add this whole container. We've added the soy milk. I'm just going to stir it and then it's going to cook for another 10 minutes or so. Here's the finished dish with the lentils cooked through and the bean curd knots have swelled up with the soup. And this is a really healthy dish for a gray day like today. You're never too busy to have a delicious meal.